Chase me, Susie! Chase me!
Good.
بناء على جواز النقد السلعي مع أن العملات الرقمية.
So take these two things in your mind, keep it in your head, because we're going to use these two principles to discuss about cryptocurrencies. Now you know that there are two types of money. Money is based on the product, and money based on the economy and the trust of the strength of the economy and the guarantee of the government. Yeah. So, but the point here is to say that there's only two types of money in Islam means that these two types have had to have been known at the time of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Listen carefully. These types of money had to have been known at the time of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for us to make hasr, for us to restrict it to only these two types. Meaning, if I said to you, there's only two types of this and this, to say that with such authority, to make it a rule in Islam, therefore those two things had to have existed at the beginning. Because if only one of them didn't exist at the beginning, and later on it did exist, that's acknowledgement that there could be three types then. Listen carefully. At the time of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we had a nuqud al-sila'i. We had money which was product based. They used gold, silver, salt, barley, dates, whatever. That's what they had. That's all they had. But at some point in the future, we had this new type of money called fiat money, and it was included as being a valid type of money. It's included as being a valid type of money. So you've acknowledged by adding this to the general body of accepted money that you can add new types. So by that definition, if we were to have a third type of money that is different from the previous two, then there's nothing to say that we can't add a third type. Just as much as you've added a second type, you can also add a third type. The only way to say you can't add a third type is to say that there was only two types at the beginning. Because if you admit that you've added a second type, that means you must admit you can add a third type. Hope you understand that principle here, because the Shaykh has made hasad. The Shaykh has said you only had these two types. Therefore, you get the gist. But as far as I'm aware, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, fiat money didn't exist.
أنتم بأذهانكم يا إخوة من النقد السلعي ولا من النقد الائتماني؟ هي المفترض أنها من النقد الائتماني. ما يمكن أن لأنه ما لها وجود.
So some students of knowledge say that cryptocurrencies are halal, or like basically they're inexpermissible because they say it's like the product-based money.
في الخارج والعملات الإلكترونية الرقمية كثيرة جدا.
So you tell me, guys, basically the Sheikh is saying, is cryptocurrencies like the product-based money or like the electronic-based money? So here we see, where do these things fit? And this is, again, one of the issues that we have with Bitcoin. What do you do with Bitcoin when it doesn't fit into the pre-known categories? As you have category A, category B, therefore Bitcoin is of this one over that one. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's neither of them. And this is what we have to deal with. Maybe it's neither of them. But the Sheikh said, some say it's like this, but if anything, it's more like this. That's what I think. That's what the Sheikh is trying to say. I think he's trying to say. Listen.
لكن أشهرها البيتكوين هذه.
It's basically, it should be like the
الموجودة التي ظهرت في أواخر.
And the reason why it should be from the fiat type is because it has no presence in reality. Just like fiat currency is just paper and it's nothing, quote unquote, it's nothing, it has no value. Therefore, cryptocurrencies should be likewise. Now, if you do make cryptocurrencies like fiat, but then you've said fiat currency is allowed because government backing and economy, that means now that fiat does not allow. You see the logic. If crypto is like fiat, but fiat has government backing, which is why it's allowed, what backs this one then? What government backs this crypto? because there's no government backing Bitcoin, therefore it's not allowed. So the problem here is, it comes down to تصور. You see this like that, and that's where the problem lies.
عام 2007 وأوائل 2008 كفكرة.
So the cryptocurrencies have many types. The Sheikh admits that, yeah. We all know that.
ثم يعني ظهرت.
But the most popular of them is Bitcoin. And this is the problem with this fatwa and all fatwa like it, is that they talk about crypto, and then they give these descriptions about crypto and why it's halal or haram or not. But then they start talking about Bitcoin, as if to say Bitcoin is exactly the same as all the others. And I think that's unfair. I think those of you, everyone will agree, it's unfair. I don't think any single person in this space says that Bitcoin is exactly the same as all other cryptocurrencies. We all know that they're not exactly the same. So, but this is where it gets convoluted, it gets mixed up, whereby you start bringing attributes that is not in Bitcoin, about Bitcoin, because it's still part of the category of crypto, as if it's the same thing.
واقعيا في عام 2009 إلا أنها لم تأخذ الزخم والانتشار إلا في.
And it came in the last year of 2007. That's what Sheikh said. No, Bitcoin, the white paper was written in 2008, and the network was launched 2009. So it wasn't in 2007. It was the year after that. But
عام 2017 أخذت الزخم القوي في.
And then it came in the beginning part of 2009 as an idea. So I think that's as كفكرة, like a I guess it became reality 2009. So yeah.
الواقع. وقد توقفت أكثر الجهات الشرعية.
Okay, I think I understand what you're saying. So you're saying that the beginnings of it is 2007, an idea of it is 2008, which is, I guess you could say the white paper, which is, I guess, true, and then it came out in reality in 2009.
من الفتوى فيها. أكثر الجهات الشرعية المعتبرة في البلاد الإسلامية.
But it never became well known and popular until 2017. Now, obviously, this is true in his perspective. It never became widely known and popular in his view until that time, 2017. And definitely 2017 was definitely a moment where a lot of people got more involved in it than others, because it was a lot easier. You had Coinbase and the rest of it. It was a lot more harder in 2014. But the fact we had Mt. Gox and other stuff, it was still big, but not. It wasn't as big. It was as big. But the prevalence of it, I think 2017 was the ICO thing, which made it explode. The ICO thing. I don't know. I'm not going to nitpick on this.
توقفت إلى الآن لم تصدر فيها فتوى. وبعضها
So it build momentum.
تخضعها للدراسة الآن. وبعضها تنتظر.
And most Islamic bodies didn't give a fatwa and they توقف, they withheld, which is fine.
حتى يستقر حالها. يعني يقول نحن ما نصدر الآن فتوى، ليه؟ لأنها مضطربة. إذا استقر حالها.
So most Islamic bodies in Muslim countries have not really issued any official rulings on it. They just had توقف. They've withheld having a particular opinion. Not all, but there is definitely something which is. I mean, even the SEC in America hasn't really issued that guidelines on what it is. So.
انكشف حالها تصدر فيها فتوى.
And some of them, this is 4 years ago by this video, but some of them are still studying it now.
وبعض الجهات الشرعية أصدرت فيها.
And some are not going to issue any fatwa until the affair of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies becomes more well established, which is fine. Again, it's hard to do a study on something changing so rapidly, and everyone knows the whole space, things are changing rapidly.
وكذلك فعل.
So some say we're not going to issue fatwa because it's not established. It's lots of things.
على بعض الباحثين. وأنبه هنا يا أحبة إلى أن بعض الفتاوى.
So if it becomes well established, what is actually happening, and it's affirmed, then we will issue a fatwa. Then we will issue fatwa.
الجواز إن بنت على ما يتوقعه أصحابها في المستقبل.
But some bodies have issued fatwa.
لا على واقع هذه العملة، لكن بناء على توقعهم أن هذه العملات ستتوجه إلى أن تكون رسمية أفتوا بالجواز.
So pay attention here, the Sheikh says pay attention here, everyone, that those who say that it is permissible build their permissibility on what it will become in the future. That's what his Sheikh is saying. As in what they think the industry will become in the future, that they've built their fatwa based on the tawaqqa', the speculation of what it will become. That's what the Sheikh is saying.
فإن بنت فتاواهم على ما يتوقع لا على الواقع.
Not on the reality right now of that currency. And again, maybe those fatwa have done that, but the problem with, again, bring it back to Bitcoin, the problem with the discussion about Bitcoin is that what Bitcoin is right now is what it is, and there's no reason why you can't issue a fatwa. I mean, Bitcoin has been working since 2009. It has been turning out blocks every 10 minutes. You've been able to send and receive Bitcoin. You've been able to mine Bitcoin. What Bitcoin actually is and what it does is well established and affirmed. Now, definitely Bitcoin could grow. You can have Lightning Network, you can have Fed Mint, you can have, all things can grow. But what it actually is known and established. So if you want to give a fatwa on that, there's no reason why you can't do that. As for the issue of things in the future, then maybe in terms of like, that would be the case of things like ICOs, where they basically issue a token and they promise you that they will have a network of this and that and the other, and it will happen in the future. Then yeah, that's definitely the case with some tokens and some coins. They haven't actually, like Cardano. Cardano wasn't even launched until recently, and that's been around since 2017. So yeah, there are definitely some cryptocurrencies out there that launch projects and white papers and ideas and plans and blah 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 blah, but it had no reality in no functional product. But Bitcoin specifically had a functioning product from the beginning. This is why I say, in discussing crypto, all ulama need to be precise. Which is why I initially was called Crypto Hash Review, because I was going to be precise. But then I can't bother with the cryptos. But if you just talk about Bitcoin, it'll be easy for you. If you talk about all of them, you'll be spending all day. You never.
على ما يتوقع لا على الواقع، وهذا لا يستقيم فقها. لماذا؟
So they say that some have given it being permissible because they expect it at one point in the future to become rasmi, to become accepted by the government. And here's another problem here with this issue. That there seems to be a hint, a ra'iha, a smell, that for it to become halal, it must be acknowledged and recognized by the government. And I guess that's kind of built on the idea that it is electronic money, which comes from the government or is backed by a government. So therefore, if cryptocurrency is like electronic money, and electronic money is backed by the government, then for this to be allowed, then it has to have the same kind of backing as the government. Maybe that's the reason why. Maybe that's the logic behind it. But as you can imagine, the problem with that is, guys, ladies and gentlemen, the problem with that is that what happens when, I mean, why is it necessary to have government backing? I'm sure there's no government backing for gold and silver, or even permission for gold and silver. In fact, I'm sure there are many countries that doesn't even allow you to use gold and silver as currency. In fact, in Malaysia, there was a person who was in prison because he tried to get people to use gold and silver as means of exchange, and apparently he was imprisoned. So we see a bit of double standards, but it is double standards, but it isn't double standards. We'll explain in a minute.
لأن الحكم يجب أن يكون على الواقع.
So yeah, so they're building it. So it's come clear now what it means by what they expect. So they built their fatwa on the expectation that governments will accept it. It wasn't really to do with, unfinished projects like Cardano or whatnot. It was to do with governments at some point accepting it as currencies. So they're giving fatwa being jaiz because of that. So yeah, that's what he made. An observation he made an observation of that being the case. But as you'll see after this, that's not always the case.
أما المتوقع فقد يقع.
And he said this is not the correct approach in terms of fiqh. You don't give fatwa based on what you expect something to be. You give fatwa based on what it is right now. If I said to you, this is the product I'm going to sell to you, and this is what it's going to be, or this is the thing this is what it's going to be in the future, then he's saying that as fiqh, according to fiqh, you would give fatwa on the now. Is it permissible in its current state, not in its future state? And I guess that's also very true. So, for example, if I was 100 years ago when we had fiat money and that was backed by gold, you may say, yeah, it's halal, and someone may say, yeah, but one day they're going to depeg it. So you would say, no, but you can't give fatwa on this money being haram today based on the idea that they're going to depeg in the future. No, we do the fatwa today. So likewise, if something is haram today, you can't give fatwa that it's going to be halal in the future, and based on that future halal is halal today. That's fine. That's a correct thing, and I don't see anything wrong with that. Straightforward.
المتوقع غيب يا إخوة. المتوقع غيب يا إخوة.
So the expectations are unseen. So,
قد يقع وقد لا يقع، لا سيما أنه لا توجد مؤشرات واقعية تدل على المستقبل.
So especially when there's no indicator as to what really will happen in the future. Basically, there's nothing which, according to the Sheikh, there's nothing which will actually dictate what will happen in the future. Now, I guess that's subjective, as in what might not be clear to you, might be clear to others, but the Sheikh is correct. If you're going to do a rule, if you're going to give a ruling or issue a ruling on something, it should be on something which is real right now, and you can't give a ruling for now based on what it will be in the future. That's fine.
ما في مؤشرات واقعية اقتصادية تدل على المستقبل.
There's nothing which economically points to the future. There's nothing in the present which points what's going to happen in the future. That's what the Sheikh was saying, basically.
فلا يجوز بناء الحكم على المتوقع. نحن نحكم على.
It's not permissible to build your hukum on that which is
الواقع.
So you could just.
فإذا تغير الحال في المستقبل حكمنا على ما يقع عندما نكون فيه إن كنا موجودين.
So this is important. So if the reality changes in the future, then we do the ruling on the future when it happens. If we're alive at that time, it will change it. So number one, he's saying here quite clearly that the reality of Bitcoin, according to him, may change, and if it does change, we'll change our ruling then. Which is why the Sheikh is not saying Bitcoin is haram indefinitely. He's basing it on his knowledge right now. Based on what it is right now, it is X, Y, Z, and if it changes in the future, then it will be something else. There you go. So even the Sheikh is not adamant on what Bitcoin is, but unfortunately, some
لأن الحكم يدور مع علته.
So here's a very important principle. Al-hukm yaduru ma'a illatihi. So basically the ruling revolves around the illah, the reason, or the reason which brings about the hukm. So, yeah. Just like alcohol is haram because it intoxicates. If it no longer intoxicates, then the hukm is gone.
ولأن هذه الفتوى تجرئ الناس على التعامل بها في الواقع الآن.
So that fatwa encourages people to involve in it right now. So that's the issue. So if fair enough, Bitcoin will become halal at a day if the government accepts it and becomes halal, blah, blah, blah. But that's the future, not today. But the fatwa that is halal today, based on the future being halal or accepted by the government, it needs people to engage in it right now when it's in its current state today. That's what he's saying. Sheikh saying.
الناس إذا قلت أنت يجوز بس ينتظرون أن تقول يجوز. لم ينتظروا حتى يقع ما تقول.
So people, when they hear about the fatwa, they won't wait until it gets to that state that makes it permissible later on. They'll just say, if you say permissible, they'll just jump into it. Again, fine, makes sense.
مباشرة يتعاملون بها. وهذا
Straight away,
لا
they'll
يجوز.
engage with it.
إذن يجب أن يكون الكلام عن هذه العملات الرقمية بحسب واقعها. هذا التنبيه الأول.
So, very important point. 100% agree with this. Therefore, it's obligatory to discuss and deal with Bitcoin as it is right now.